Hey everybody, my name is Steven and welcome back to the Storytime channel. Without wasting any time, let's get into our stories of the day. Lady confuses me for vet staff. Backstory. I used to work at a shelter/rescue place with a pretty simple uniform. Thick pants or scrub bottoms, work boots or sneakers, and either a scrub top or a shirt with the shelter/rescue logo on it. Sometimes the animals would be sent out to vets instead of the vet we had on staff since the vet wasn't always there. When that happened, a worker would take them and a worker would pick them up after if needed. They would also leave the animal's file to be copied or updated as needed by the vet. Unfortunately, on this day, I was wearing a scrub top, bottoms, and a pair of sneakers, though the two had a bunch of bleach stains on it. Messy work cleaning up after animals. Now the story. So I got a call from my boss. There was some flooding in one of the buildings and she wanted to know if I could pick up one of the dogs at the vet in my town, which was about 30 minutes from my work, before starting my shift. I didn't drive, but my ride said yes, so I said yes. There was just the one receptionist at her desk. I told her who I was there for, and she handed me the file and disappeared in the back to get the dog. Lucy, not the real name. Then here came the lady. I'm not sure if she'd be a Karen, but she was an obviously well-off lady who looked a bit annoyed. Shiny sunglasses, purse that looked pretty pricey, 3-inch heels, fancy hair. You get it. She's on the phone and marches in. I don't think she even looked at me before she spoke. Lady on phone. And now I have to do it. To me. First name, last name, here for biscuit. Not real name. Back to phone. Anyway. Ma'am, I don't like confrontation until it gets bad or someone else is suffering for it. Lady on the phone. Hold on. To me. Well, what are you waiting for? First name, last name, here for biscuit. Hurry up, I don't have all day. OP glancing at the door and praying the receptionist returns soon. Ma'am, I'd love to help out, but... Then do it. Get me my dang dog. Back to the phone. Anyway, Shelly, there's just no finding good help. I kind of started stepping back a little, hoping she would be distracted by her call or the receptionist would hurry out. Alas, it wasn't meant to be. Lady to the phone. Look, I'll have to call you back. These idiots don't know how to do their job. Puts phone away and turns to me, hands on her hips. She looks ready to explode. First name, last name, for biscuit. Get me my dang dog. I don't... Again, I hate confrontation. You know, biscuit, a purebred white Pomeranian. The most expensive thing you've probably ever touched. She said a few more things, but I was beginning to panic and kind of blinked out a lot. You're useless. Thankfully, my savior arrives. Receptionist hands me a baggie of medicines and says, Alright OP, so here's the medicine. What? Lady crossing her arms and huffing. Finally, some real help. I have a complaint about your worker. OP, at this point, I looked at the medicine and realized that it wasn't looking good for Lucy, who had many health problems. Look, lady, I don't... You! As I mentioned, not a lot gets me going on confrontation, but knowing this sweet dog was so close to death and still had no forever home got me going. Shut up and listen, I don't work here. I'm currently here to pick up a dog who before this had a month to live and based off of the medicine has less than a week left. So kindly shut the freak up so I can find out what I need to know to get this dog to a foster home for her last days of life. Now what were you saying, receptionist? The lady looked like she didn't know what to say. Finally, she sat down and just kept making loud huffing noises. Receptionist softly. What was that about? She thought I worked here and wouldn't let me talk. Receptionist says, she didn't notice the bleach stains on your pitch black top? Just gotta say, I love this vet's office and their sassy staff. Nope, don't think she noticed that you guys wear light blue either. I was right and the vets predicted Lucy had less than a week left. I finally got Lucy, her meds in file, and pretty much ran out. Ending. Funny enough, about 2 months later, I had a litter of foster kittens under my care that were the first batch of the year. Kitten season. That a lot of people wanted. They filled out applications and I got to look through the ones that made it past first inspection. There's at least 3 inspections on application for any animal of ours. Front office, person directly in charge of animal, then the boss. And the lady's name was on there, her dog and vet listed. Thankfully, I found a better home in the packet and never saw her again. Heard that her name was in the no adopt section now, though no one I still talk to knows why. Lucy ended up living a full year longer than predicted. That's incredibly frustrating, but my positive takeaway is that Lucy got a whole nother year after this, which I'm happy to hear about. But if you were there waiting for the receptionist to get back and this lady would not let you speak, what would you have done? Let me know in the comment section down below. I don't work here, I live here. More than 10 years ago, my partner and I ran our design business out of an old warehouse converted to live workspaces. We leased one space to live and another for our business with a third partner and 2 employees. The landlord who converted the space, wanting to give back to the area, created a large dance performing and practice space. A small dance company picked up the lease and rented out the space when they weren't using it. This created more than a few problems between the dancers and the live work tenants. Dance Karens and Kevins, DK, and musicians would pay their $15 for an hour or two, believing they had the right to be as loud or obnoxious as they wished, ignoring the fact that the live work tenants paid between $1,500 to $2,500 a month for a nice place to live and or work. Dancers would fully undress in the hallway and change into their dance clothes before going in the studio space. We were told often, just as we walked in the door, to be quiet, there is a performance underway. I can't tell you how often we would walk down to the laundry room to find grungy, skid-marked underwear and clothes in piles outside the studio door. As mentioned above, we had 2 spaces. We lived directly above the building's lobby and our workspace was directly above the dance studio. I'm a fairly easygoing bloke, as I believe most large men are. Think Great Danes. I have never thrown a fist in anger or even been in a fight. My size might have a lot to do with that, but I have always preferred talking out disputes. Well, one evening around 9 or so, our partner was working late while we had retired to our living space. This evening was particularly noisy. Drums and dance sticks pounding out staccato rhythm to oppressively loud music. Our partner isn't as easygoing as I, and I knew it had to be even louder in the design studio. It wasn't long before I heard him take a rubber mallet to the floor and add his own pattern to the tumult. He'd done it before. I don't think it hurts to give noisy folks a reminder that they aren't the only ones in the world, but I prefer to do it gently in person. As I sat on the couch, pretending to be able to hear the news, an unknown dance Kevin threw our door open, stalked up to my wife and started yelling about how they paid their $15 and they can do whatever they want. I sat and waited for the first break and with a little bit of a raised voice said, "You just broke into a private residence." Dancing Kevin started in again, so I raised my voice again and repeated the statement as I stood up. He stopped mid-rant, took a slow look around and immediately started backing up. The apologies started as he fumbled with a knob. I got out one more, "This is my private residence," before he ducked out the door. I then locked the door. Yeah, it should have been locked all along. The music was off and quiet within 2 minutes and we never saw him again. My wife went over to see if she needed to mop up anything. There were many other incidents between the DKs and tenants, but this seemed to be the beginning of the end. Within a year, the dance space was converted to more live workspace. It provided higher rent for the landlord and got rid of a lot of problems. I don't know what management is going on with the dance studio or the people who own the actual complex, but something seems fundamentally wrong here. And it's good to hear that they converted it to more live workspace so that all the problems were resolved altogether. I don't live here, lady, but I'll pretend to work here to get rid of you. This happened about 10 years ago. I live in Edinburgh, Scotland's capital city. It sits on the coast and has a few nice areas on the water side. One area called Wardy Bay is not the prettiest, but has nice views across the water. So the view is very important to the residents. It sits between a large harbor and large docks, both of which have large areas of infilled or reclaimed land. Important later. Somehow I ended up added to a large distribution list for Wardy Bay residents. I wrote to them a few times to ask to be removed, but they ignored my requests. Initially, this wasn't too much of a hardship as there were typically only 2 or 3 Karens who would use the list on a regular basis, and I just blocked messages from their email addresses. Then it all changed. One of the residents spotted a survey ship in the water in front of the houses and jumped to the conclusion that someone must be planning to fill in the gap between the harbor and docks to reclaim the land for building purposes. Well, the group emails exploded in volume, with unfounded rumor, accusations, personal attacks against local politicians and against the company that owns the harbors and docks in the area, Fourth Ports. Emails actually intended for me were lost in an avalanche of complaint, moaning, and gossip. Blocking messages from individual email accounts would have been a full-time job, so I came up with an alternative. I hit reply all and wrote a short and blatantly untrue email stating that I worked for Fourth Ports and said how useful it was to have an insider's view of what the enemy was up to. I have never since received a single email from the group. Oh, and the Warty Bay waters remain as they always were. This is a pretty smart play by OP. This is the kind of thing that you're in the shower and you realize you should have done it this way after making some not so great plan the first time and it's already too late. Not quite as good as a story as most, but my only post. So to start off, this isn't your average post. Nothing bad happened, it is more just humorous than anything. So background. About 3 years ago, I was 13 and in 9th grade at the time. My mom had recently started working at the local college. It's not a big college, smaller than most in my state, but still decent for my state. She had gone to get some paperwork done for like dental insurance stuff, because they help her pay off some of it since I soon was going to get braces. So on to the story. She had gone into this area to sign some stuff, leaving me alone for 30 minutes to an hour. I, of course, being bored as heck, go to the nearby gift shop to look at all the cool junk they have there. It was me, the guy working there, I think looked college-aged, and maybe a few people a bit away. I was looking at stuff and the guy working came up to me and was looking around making small talk when he asked, "So you started working in here recently? What you majoring in?" And I realized he thought that I went to that college and being my awkward self bumble around and explain I'm just 13. He looks confused as heck, then finally got it and hurried away quickly. Of course, being 13, I thought it was the coolest thing ever because, oh, I look college-aged. When, obviously, I didn't look anything like it. Okay, I know, not much excitement, but still a fun story. Oh, to be 13 and feeling excited about getting older. I'm already in that phase where I'm ready to put it all in reverse. I wore a yellow shirt in IKEA and a guy said to me that they'll get me fired. This story happened in August of 2018. I wore a yellow polo shirt and I thought it was okay to wear in IKEA because I'd never gone there before. So when I was looking for furniture, this old dude said to me, "Where is the food court?" "Sir, I don't work here." "Of course you do. Every other employee here wears a yellow shirt and you're wearing one." "I'm serious, sir. I don't work here." "I'm gonna get you fired because you're disrespecting customers." "IKEA can't fire a customer." "That's it. Where's your manager?" "I have no manager. I don't work in IKEA." And then I tried to leave, but this dude yanked my arm and told me to stay where I was. After about 5 minutes, this dude comes back with a manager. "This is the employee who is disrespecting me. Fire him." The manager says, "Sir, he doesn't work here." "What do you mean he doesn't work here? He's wearing a yellow shirt like you." "I don't work for IKEA. I'm a freaking customer." Manager says he's telling the truth. He doesn't work here. "You're just stalling for him. Just fire him already, you N-word." The manager was black. After this, the man was kicked out and I never saw him since. If this story is true, that guy is lucky that all he got was kicked out of the store. Saying that directly to a guy's face is pretty bold, especially over the matter of somebody not actually working there that you think does work there. But with that being said, that's all the stories we have for today. So what I want to know is which of these stories that I've read for you today are your personal favorite and why? Let me know which story and why in the comment section down below. And thank you all so very much for watching and listening to the Storytime channel today. If you haven't yet, please consider subscribing to the Storytime channel. And don't forget to turn notifications on by hitting the notification bell so you'll never miss an upcoming video from us. Thank you all again for watching and listening to the Storytime channel.